Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Mayan Speedplay number 15. We left off in the middle of a war against the French Empire. They have a 63,000 man stack on its way to attack our 33,000 man stack and various adjacent troops. We do go ahead and split our forces up in an attempt to hopefully be able to go around their massive stack. We also luckily are not apparently about to be destroyed in that siege. We will hopefully be able to siege out their colonial nation. We have that 17 stack going around, our 19 stack running away and guiding their 63 stack away into the depths. Hopefully we are doing some damage to their manpower, but perhaps not. We are really just going to attempt to get as many armies as we can over. We have 17,000 to their 10,000, and it looks as though that's going to be a loss, which is a little bit sad, and we are learning the lesson that we've learned against the British earlier, that our armies still do not stand the test against the Europeans. Unfortunately, they also reached out and grabbed our 20 stack, causing 7,000 casualties, and just generally being a tremendous problem. Luckily, our siege finished, so we have 21,500 men, who we will bring over against Florida and hopefully destroy that force. We also have another 10,000 men, who we have just finished recruiting, and who will hopefully not be needed, but will be ready if necessary, and we will in fact just go ahead and merge these armies, because better safe. We do go ahead and join in, they're attacking us, and it looks like we do win that. We can probably chase them down to the very end of Florida, and hopefully stack wipe that army. I would very much like to take over the entire Florida peninsula, however it looks like they have a 33 stack on their way, and we have learned the valuable lesson that it is just not worth it to actually attempt to fight them. So we send our forces out to get out of the way. It looks as though we may be able to stack wipe that force. Hopefully, yes we do. That is great news. We go ahead and start detaching sieging elements. It looks as though they will catch up to our 1,500 man stack, and it just ceases to exist immediately. They have peasant rebels, which is just horrendously tedious, and something that we've had to deal with every colonial nation we've fought. The 33 stack is also charging after 1,900 men in the far north, and they're really just chasing us everywhere. In the middle, we are hopefully going to just overwhelm them. We are going to attack the peasant rebels, simply because I'm really just sick and tired of all these peasant rebels, and it's a battle that we can actually win. So we do go ahead and fight it. Other than that, it's just a matter of avoiding their forces wherever we can possibly avoid them, and just making whatever gains we can. Now, whatever gains we can is really just a very small amount of gains. They do have their forces taking over Florida again. We might raise additional mercenaries. We can hopefully evacuate these 22,000 men away from that 30 stack. We do go ahead and turn on forced march, which will hopefully be the thing that turns it around. And what we may end up doing is attempting to just sabotage and destroy this 30 stack. It is pretty distant from any other French forces, and we have over 40,000 men in the area. If we can go ahead and destroy that force, we will be in a pretty decent position. They're sitting on our capital as the British did before. Hopefully it will be slightly more advantageous now. We're also stealing French colonies up near Florida. And we do go ahead and merge this 50,000 man stack. We can charge against them in the capital. We attack, and it is actually a really terrible idea. So that's far less than ideal. We do go ahead and see what sort of peace offer we can make before that battle ends. They want all of North America, so they're obviously not going to get that. That really does mark the end of our attempts to fight a stand-up battle against European powers, at least until we get a technological parity with them. And that is a lesson I probably should have learned maybe 2 or 3 roughly equivalent battles ago, and it's really disastrous for our manpower and our country at large that I didn't recognize the writing on the wall until now. That being said, we're still at 2% war score because we do control quite a bit of their territory, and as well the war goal. Their forces do have our capital and a lot of other significant territories. That's really just going to be the way of the world for the near future. We can hopefully destroy some straggling forces, take over various territories. Florida's just in rebellion. We can hopefully destroy this noble peasant, or noble uprising, noble peasant. And, yeah, just avoid that 62,000 man stack. split our forces up, take over the Florida area. Really, I think this is a feasible war. We can hopefully win it. We are just seizing colonies as we finish our other colonies, which actually speeds up our colonization process. And eventually they will lose war enthusiasm. It's happened before, it'll probably happen again. We also have 2 1-stacks just besieging areas that don't have forts, and potentially about to be chased down by their armies. There's a rebellion in South America that we're just going to have to deal with eventually, not right now as all of our troops are occupied. And yeah, we're just going around sniping what territories we can. It looks like they have a 36-stack on their way up north. We're just going to siege out Florida as quickly as possible. Great Britain's truce with us has ended, so they could honestly, pretty realistically, just declare another war against us and just do the same thing as before. I really hope they don't, although it may very, very realistically end up with us just being in a constant series of colonial wars. Nevertheless, we advance our technology a little bit. We go ahead and deal with just various estate issues. We go ahead and just make it so all 3 don't hate us or love us. And we're raising additional forces to just bring together and hopefully be enough. Meanwhile, we can hopefully take back our capital, which will be a very great boon to our nation. We have our new great leader in charge of the state, which is really a welcome thing. And our forces are generally just making decent progress everywhere we're not in complete and total retreat, which is at least a decent number of the fronts. You'll notice the French Navy is just really prevalent all over our coastlines. We're really not going to be able to do very much about that. I can't imagine we will. And yeah, we're just seizing more territories, moving forward a bit. This is definitely feasible. We're at 8% war score. Eventually they're going to lose enthusiasm. Their colonial nations are all occupied and thus not at all enthused by this war. All of the colonies we're seizing are just moving us forward ever more so. And there is a 36-stack which we're going to try to avoid as best we can, moving all of our smaller forces just to other directions. The ultimate name of the game is to just avoid battle, seize the countryside, and really run down the clock until they just get tired of the war. Is that entirely realistic? I would like to think it is. We've won the past 3 wars really with that attitude, ever since we realized that it was not worthwhile to actually fight. A lesson that was probably a little too difficult for me to learn. At any rate, we are sieging out everything. It looks as though pretty soon we won't have anything left available to siege out. And once that happens, we may just try to make peace, although it is possible that we'll have to wait until their war enthusiasm drops. It is still high, as you can tell by the bottom right, where it is a horse in basically some sort of gallop or raising on its on its back 2 legs. We do also manage to hopefully escape. It looks like that 1-stack is just going to die. It died. And they do have armies on either side of our 34-stack. I don't know if they'll go into the wilderness to attack us. It looks like they won't. We can hopefully take our capital back, although that is not yet apparent. And yeah. Overall, not so much of a disaster. We've seized all the colonies that we could get. We are just moving our armies around, avoiding their own. Luckily, it looks like the siege of the capital is still holding out, and we might not be able to get peace with them just yet. They could accept taking quite a lot of our land, so we're not going to make peace just yet. They are at just mid-level war enthusiasm now, though. That is important. That signifies that the war is definitely at least getting closer to being winnable. Now it's just a matter of winning it. 16% war score, in part because we do control the territory. We also could maybe try to, 1, not lose all of our land to rebels, which will hopefully, we'll be able to avoid that. And 2, once we get our capital back, we will be in a much better spot for negotiated peaces. We do move our army away around their force. They might be trying to come steal back colonies or something. We do get our capital back. They offer us white peace. We will not accept it. We see what lands we can take from them, Now that they are apparently offering white peace, we can probably go for more. It would take 24 war score to take over all of their Texas and Louisiana bit. We will not do that, since it'll probably not be realistic that we'll get that much war score. Although we are still seizing colonies, we're going to start detaching some of our additional mercenary artillery, as that is just a little overtly expensive, far beyond what we can afford. At any rate, we also have a colony that we can set up, an additional colonist for the first time in a while. The French army is still chasing us. And I think overall that we can do this, and it's very winnable. I'm really repeating myself over and over again, but that is the truth. What we do need to do for the future is maybe build up our forts so we have higher level forts that won't just fall so very quickly against Europeans in the middle of our country. Maybe build up even additional fortresses throughout in a general sense. And realistically, though, that is a bit too passive of an approach. I do think that it's a worthwhile venture. I do go ahead and see what we can get. It looks like we can get quite a lot of land, actually, which may mean that it is about time to end this war. It doesn't look as though our war score is going to go up anymore, since we already have all the territories we can get a hold of easily. We could go up and just take the northern Florida bits, as well as secure a decent amount of closer paths throughout the middle of our country. French Mexico has really gotten in the way of our troop mobility. Now it will not any longer. We go ahead and core everything, as they did accept that peace deal. We have the potential for rebels basically everywhere, and a decent portion of South America is occupied by rebels as we speak. So we're going to go ahead and deal with that, convert people, and really just move forward into the next episode, as we have done quite a lot this time around. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow.